Once upon a time, deep within the lush green canopy of the emerald forest, there lived a young squirrel named Pipkin. His fur was a beautiful blend of autumn leaf colors, and his eyes sparkled with the same life as dew on morning grass. Pipkin was known far and wide throughout the woods for two things. He was the quickest climber and the most clever nut collector of them all. But this impressive reputation came with a flaw. You see, Pipkin's heart had slowly grown smaller than the mountain of acorns he was building. Every single dawn, just as the forest began to wake with the beautiful chorus of birdsong, Pipkin was already at work. He'd dash from tree to tree, a furry blur of motion, stuffing his hollow oak home with every nut, berry, and seed he could find. He never stopped to play games with the other squirrels, not even for a moment. And he certainly never shared a single nut with anyone. "Winter is coming," he would mutter to himself, his voice a low, determined hum. "And when the snow finally falls, I'll be the only one who won't go hungry." The rest of the forest watched him, a quiet sense of unease rippling through the community. Hazel the rabbit, who was known for her gentle and kind spirit, once hopped over to him. "Pipkin," she asked softly, "would you be willing to share just a few acorns with me? My burrow was flooded in the last rain, and I have nothing left for my kits." Pipkin just flicked his bushy tail dismissively. "You should have gathered earlier," he said sharply, his voice cold. "I worked hard for these. They're all mine." Defeated, Hazel bowed her head and hopped away into the trees. A hush fell over the woods that evening, as if even the wind itself disapproved of Pipkin's selfishness. Days turned into weeks, and Pipkin's oak tree overflowed with his treasures. He had gathered more food than any single squirrel could possibly eat in 10 long winters. But as his pile grew, the air around him grew colder, and a strange, heavy stillness crept across the forest. One by one, the other animals grew thin and tired. The vibrant life of the woods began to fade. Then the snow arrived far earlier than anyone expected. It fell thick and cruel, burying the entire forest floor beneath a deep, frozen sheet of white. Pipkin sat comfortably in his cozy oak, nibbling on a perfectly roasted acorn by the soft, warm light of his lantern fungus. He tried to feel happy. He told himself he should be happy. He had everything he wanted, but the forest outside was completely silent. There was no laughter from the fox cubs, no friendly rustle of his neighbors passing by. There was only the lonely echo of the wind whistling against the hollow bark of his tree. He gazed at the mountain of food beside him. It didn't look like a treasure anymore. It looked more like a tall, unbreachable wall that he had built to keep everyone out. Just then, he heard a soft, timid scratching at his door. Pipkin froze. Who could be out in this blizzard? He cautiously opened the door, and there, shivering in the snow, was little Lottie, a baby mouse. Her tiny whiskers were stiff with frost, and she looked up at him with wide, desperate eyes. "Please, Mr. Squirrel," she squeaked, her voice barely a whisper. "Mama is sick, and we have nothing left to eat." Could we please have just one nut? Pipkin hesitated. He looked back at his piles of food shining perfect and completely untouched. And in that moment, something inside his chest cracked, like ice breaking under a warm spring sun. He picked up a small, choice acorn and placed it gently into her tiny paws. "Take it," he whispered, his own voice sounding strange to him, "and wait, take more." He quickly gathered a whole bundle of nuts, wrapped them carefully in a large leaf, and handed the package to her. Lottie's eyes lit up like two tiny lanterns in the dark. "Thank you. Oh, thank you. Mama will be so happy," she chirped, before turning and running off into the snow, leaving Pipkin standing in his doorway with a strange new warmth spreading through his heart. That night, Pipkin couldn't sleep, but it wasn't from worry. For the first time in a long time, the forest no longer seemed so empty. He imagined Hazel's little kits, finally with full bellies. He pictured the birds, strong enough to chirp again. He even thought the wind sounded softer, humming a gentle lullaby. When morning came, he knew what he had to do. He had made a choice. He filled a basket, no, not one, but 10 baskets with his hoard. He carried them out into the snowy forest, visiting every burrow, every den, and every nest. He gave nuts to the hedgehogs who were curled up and shivering in their leafy homes. He gave berries to the robins, hiding from the cold under thick roots. He gave seeds to the field mice huddled together in their tunnels. And everywhere he went, it was as if the forest itself began to breathe again. Laughter returned, faint at first, then growing bright and full and echoing through the trees. By sunset, Pipkin's massive hoard was almost gone. But as he looked at his nearly empty home, he felt lighter and happier than he ever had before. He sat beneath his old oak tree, watching the golden light of the setting sun melt beautifully over the snow. The whole forest seemed to glow not from a pile of treasure, but from a shared sense of joy. Spring came early that year. Flowers unfurled like bright, colorful smiles, and every creature in the forest greeted Pipkin with genuine kindness. Hazel the rabbit brought him a gift of sweet wild carrots. Little Lottie's family worked together to build him a wonderful new swing from woven grass. Even the old oak tree itself seemed to stretch its branches taller, standing proud of the little squirrel who had learned such a big lesson. One evening, as the fireflies began to blink like tiny dancing stars in the twilight, Pipkin whispered to himself, "When I shared my food, I found something even sweeter than acorns." The leaves of the trees rustled softly in agreement, and the whole forest seemed to hum with a newfound peace. From that day on, Pipkin was no longer known as the Greedy Squirrel. He was known as Pipkin, the squirrel whose heart was as warm and as generous as the sun that kissed the leaves of the emerald forest. And so the lesson was learned and never forgotten that true happiness is found not in what we keep, but in what we share, and kindness, like the blossoms of spring, will always multiply. Thank you so much for watching this story with us today. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales from the forest. See you next time.